So welcome everyone. We're here to walk through BlueCat DNS Edge Splunk apps that have been created recently. In order to reach both of the apps, you're going to go through Splunk base. So as you can see, the address in the browser is splunkbase.splunk.com. And once you reach the page, you're going to enter BlueCat. You're going to search for BlueCat. You'll see that both of them appear in the filter, but if you just hit enter, you'll then see both of the apps that you will need to download in order to begin the SIM integration with Edge and Splunk. So that said, we're going to move on to the Splunk page itself and logging in. Logging into Splunk Enterprise is fairly simple. You're going to provide yourself with your username and your password. In this case, we're going to be using a guest instance. When you sign on, you'll select BlueCat DNS Edge for Splunk on the left-hand side under your apps. And here will appear the first dashboard that you see. It defaults to show you policy events. And you'll see under policy events, that you'll be able to select the policy itself, the source IP, and the time range. In this case, the last 24 hours, we don't have any results showing up. So what we're going to do is go from year to date. And once you select that time filter, you're going to see that the data begins to appear. The first portion of the policy events dashboard shows you the events as a table. And you can see each event is a row in the table and includes things like the query name, the policy action, and the answer that was involved. It's important to note that all items that are picked up by the DNS Edge Splunk app are policyed events only. So if we are talking about queries that went through DNS Edge, the application, but it was not affected by a policy, it will not appear in the Splunk feed. The second portion of the dashboard for policy events is a policy events trend line. And here it's a bar graph that shows you the number of events that you've had over a monthly period. And then below that is policy events by policy. And again, now this is a line graph, and you can see to your right that it lists the policies that we have in place for this demonstration. And the line graph changes based on that based on the policy that you've selected. And if you just leave your mouse completely out of it, then it will show you all of the policies. And now let's move on to policy details, which is the next choice available to you. And we'll call up this dashboard. And again, it defaults to the time period of the last 24 hours. And so we're going to change that again to year to date in order to populate the table. And we're just waiting for the data now. So now you'll see that the policy summary table has been populated. And what you're going to see are the policies involved. So policy name, the description that's in the policy that applies to each policy, the policy action, its status, and then the policy events and a time range. So the policy names and descriptions, these are things that are coming from DNS Edge, the application. And then the policy events and the time range shows you within the period of time that we selected. So in this case, it's year to date. For example, the test policy, which is the first one on the list, had a number of hits. It was 645,284 policy events within that year to date. Now, what's also excellent is that you can export this particular table, export it as a PDF. And if we do so, you'll then be able to open this and produce this summary, print it out, take it as you wish, or tie it into a presentation that you may have. Now that we've covered policy details, we'll move on to policy alerts. And what's fantastic about the DNS Edge Splunk app is that you'll be able to create policy alerts on policies that you've selected in order to make sure that if you don't want to have to continue to check the application or to check into Splunk, that it will actually contact you based on the policy events for policies that you've deemed are very important. So in this case, under the policy alerts, you'll see that you can choose from the different policies that are available. Again, these are all coming from the DNS Edge app, and whether you want to enable alerting or disable alerting. So you can even take an alert that you currently have and you no longer deem important, you can disable that alert. So in this case, what we'll do is we'll select a policy and we'll select the policy of block or handle. And we're going to enable that and we'll submit it. So now you'll see that on the table, this particular policy now has its alerting as active. Once you've set that in place, you'll go into the settings menu, and you're going to, under knowledge, go to searches, reports, and alerts. And here you'll select policy alerts, and you're going to edit these alerts. And under the edit alert window, you'll see that you can change the alert type, whether it's scheduled or real time. You want to run it on the cron schedule, hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. The time range, and so this is very important. So if you want to run it so that you're not just receiving an alert for every single message, or every single event, but events over a period of time, you can name that. So you can make it in the last hour, you can make it in the day. That way you can minimize the number of emails you're receiving as well. Otherwise it could become quite possibly annoying. Then under number of results, again, you can trigger the alert when you've superseded a set number of results. So you can say that is greater than, and we want it when we have more than 100 policy events, and that's when you'll send that trigger. And then the trigger actions lets you select what type of a trigger or what type of an alert you'd like to receive. So in this case, you can send an email, or it can be a Slack notification. And then once you've made that choice, you can select for email, you're going to select the person that you want to send this to. So in this case, we'll send it to me, and then we'll click save. And now that alert has been saved, and we'll begin to receive those messages when that particular policy triggers the number of events required. So now that we've walked through setting up an alert on policy events, we're now going to head and go through the search capabilities that we have in the Splunk app. So again, going left to right on our tabs, we go to search. And here this allows you to begin searching through all of the queries that we have, all of the policy queries. And again, based on, you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, the last 24 hours. And as per all of the other filters that we've seen so far, you can change it and either limit it even further or expand it. So we'll go to month to date. And then you'll go into the command line here for the search, and you can begin with a policy event. And what you can do is, as you're typing, it begins to find matching terms. And so I'm just searching on policy, and you'll see that what it's done is it's returned everything that fits under that keyword event. And it's building the table, as you can see, the number of events, again, based on month to date. Now, what's fantastic is as you're going through and you're seeing these different queries that have arrived from DNS Edge, is that you can click on these different conditions within the queries. So in this case, we'll say the description, that's a description of the policy. We can click on that and we can actually say add to search. So when we do that, it's going to add that condition to our search. It's going to reapply and then change the search results based on that new filtering. And you can go through and continue. So what this really provides our customers is the ability to drill down. So we've given them, in the policy events page, we've given them everything. And you can still filter there, but it's by source ID. This search capability that we have now allows you to apply multiple conditions. So now if you're looking at getting at that sort of patient zero query that you're interested in, this is a fantastic way to be able to do that. And again, you can continue adding other conditions. So even if you're going to talk about a timestamp, particular time that you're looking for, just click and the timestamp has been added. And now you'll see the policy events for the description of social media policy with that specific timestamp. Again, drilling down further, refining. And this is, I think, what ultimately is the greatest benefit that we provide to the customers with our Splunk app, is their ability to drill down the information of policy events, and that you don't need to be an administrator on the Edge application itself in order to reach this information. You can provide this to your Splunk admins or Splunk analysts. Now that we've walked through the search capabilities of the Splunk app, we're going to move on to the next choice and the last choice in our tabs, and that is the dashboards tab. It's fairly simple and straightforward in that it lists, again, all of the dashboards that we have. So in this case, it's the ones that we've walked through. It's policy alerts, details, and events. It'll show you who the owner of the dashboards are, and then it's the capabilities of whether you do want to edit these. Splunk does have a myriad of capabilities as far as administrators being able to create their own dashboards, to customize the dashboards that BlueCat provides. But this, for the purposes of this demo, we are going to remain within the confines of what BlueCat believes are the best choices for their customer. And within the last portion of the dashboards table, you'll see that there is a button to the far left. But when it's clicked, it shows you pieces of information about that particular dashboard. So in this case, what app the dashboard belongs to, the permissions, who modified it, and then it gives a brief description about the dashboard itself.